What's up, Tricology family? Welcome back to another episode of the Tricology News Talk. And we have another table discussion for you guys today. But first, let me introduce you to another special guest to our podcast today. He's a fellow a filmmaker in his own right. Everyone, please welcome Donaze Keys. Donna, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's all good, man. How you doing?
All good, all good. So, Donaze, before we get right into it, tell everyone what you do in film, and there's like any projects that people should look after for.
So I am a script supervisor and dancer by trade, and currently with the studio I'm involved with called Fusion Movement out in Palmdale, California, we have a challenge going on right now with a 2-week challenge of 3 dance styles, a bachata and a late Latin fusion. The winner of that challenge will get a year free worth of classes, as well as 8 private sessions with our staff. And all that information can be found at Fusion Dance MVMT on Instagram and Fusion Movement on Facebook.
Awesome. So, is there any social media account they should follow you on?
For me personally, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well at DKey for real, and that is DKEY 4 REAL.
All right. I'll have that that name down below in the comment section, so you guys can follow the social media account. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, you sent us a top of topics that you want to discuss. So, I'm gonna read out the first topic right out the back. So, look it up. So, the first topic we have is the Dark Side of the Ring overview. So, in case y'all don't know what that is, it's basically a documentary of the late wrestler Chris Benoit. And before we go more forward, this is for all WWE and all wrestling fans. That's like that relates to who watch WWE, AEW, or any wrestler promotions out there. So back to the topic at hand. So I watched this this documentary and storyline. So basically, if you don't know, like Chris Benoit, he was like a one of the greatest wrestlers, but he had a bad tragic ending. Most people didn't like how it went down, because it was like a murder suicide and like all this gay shot. Y'all don't know about that. I'll have the link down below about what about it. So in my overview as a wrestler, Chris Benoit is like one of the greats. Like one of the best moments I saw for him when back in 2004 at WrestleMania 20, when he won the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat against Triple H and Shawn Michaels and others. When back in the Attitude Era, when he had this rivalry with Chris Jericho, especially that ladder match in at the Royal Rumble 2001. So that's one of the best moments from Chris Benoit. So Donaze, what's your overview of the Dark Side of the Ring, and what's your overview of Chris Benoit as a wrestler?
As a wrestler, as a person, and honestly, it's kind of hard. The Dark Side of the Ring was done very well by Switch. For those that don't know, is a documentary series that has been around since, I want to say, the last decade or so, and they're getting ready for another season. And with that, it was so eloquently done, but there were elements of it, and I don't know if you happen to catch the Talk Is Jericho podcast as well, that Chris did about a week ago with the interviewers that he did. But there are elements that every story that Vice does, that if those elements weren't there, they wouldn't do them, because you would get the same watered down interview, because the entire piece was roughly 2 hours, you would say?
Yeah. And then other thing that I want to mention, yeah, when I saw the documentary, they had a pretty good the story to it, but and yeah, it was really pretty good. So if it was me doing that documentary, I would go back to like all from the WCW, his ECW days, how he came through the WWE, and just trying to go for it in a way that I could try to tell the story, maybe like in a 1 hour or a 2 hour uh, length to it. So that's my thoughts and opinion on that. But moving on to the second topic. So, in case y'all don't know, two former WWE wrestlers, Matt Hardy and Luke Harper, has switched over to now WWE's chief competitor, All Elite Wrestling, as short for AEW. So, Luke Harper changed his name to now Brody Lee, and Matt Hardy is still Matt Hardy, but he brings the broken Matt Hardy back, in which WWE can use broken Matt Hardy through the copyright, so they had to change it to woken Matt Hardy. But now we got broken Matt Hardy back to ECW. So, Donaze, what's your thoughts on those two switching on to AEW and how their careers can change in AEW?
Okay, so I should have prefaced this because a lot of my wrestling knowledge comes from like listening to podcasts, and Jericho's just so happened like these were like the last three since he's releasing now. I think 2 or 3 a week now because of the obvious. And both Matt and Brody were on Talk as Jericho in the last week. And what it came down to for why they left was creative control at their age. And the entire Broken Universe originally, from Matt Hardy's own words, originated because he realized he's in his mid to late 40s, same with Jeff, and they cannot, at their age, be doing some of the stuff they did in the TLC days. So for him, he developed that character so they didn't have to jump off the top rope or even do a swanton every night for like 3-4 times. And the biggest thing for Brody was being joined at the hip with Eric Rowan. Yes, they're big. Yes, they're crazy. But being conjoined as a tag team wrestler and being confined with that, you are basically linked. And if they get hurt, you're on the shelf too. And I think the only time an organization did that very well to where the tag team wrestler, half the tag team was on the injured reserve list, and one of them came back, the healthy one, was when Chris Sabin was out for about a year with a knee injury, but Alex Shelley came back midway once the rest of the X division was unable to compete and beat and have a few matches with Austin Aries until Sabin was cleared. So back with Brody, I think it is good. And he even said, like, if he didn't come back and debut when he did, who knows how long AEW is going to be out for? Because is the mandate that I heard statewide, or was it just Orange County that you guys are at a stay-home order now?
I think it's Orange County and like mostly and Dade County that are forced to stay at home rule.
Okay, so Jacksonville, so AEW might have one, maybe at this point, 1 week. However, there are a lot. That's why they had to kill Nick off. And I'm sorry for going in different topics, but this is all the same thing because Brody was originally scheduled to debut in Rochester, his hometown. And that same episode in the Double Swerve was Matt Hardy. And Matt fit into everything. And that's why he's basically a solo entity. and Brody's the leader of the Dark Order.
So yeah, you did mention the creative side. So the last time we saw Matt Hardy and Brody in the WWE, let's talk about Brody for a second. The last big match he had was back in Hell in a Cell of last year. I think it was September or October when he was teaming with Rowan, and then like when they did the storyline of like who attacked Roman Reigns, and that led to Rowan betraying his partner Daniel Bryan, and they had the tag team match with Rowan and Daniel Bryan versus Rowan and Luke Harper. So we all know that Roman and Daniel Bryan win, and that led to a downward spiral to Luke Harper, and then he was not getting used most of the time. So I think that was one of the reasons he switched to AEW. And then like for Matt Hardy, the last time we saw him in WWE is when he was in
his skull caved in.
Yeah, in the Edge and Randy Orton storyline that's going on right now. And because when Matt Hardy mentioned like, oh, him and Edge were not that most of friends. In case y'all didn't know the story back in when they had that rivalry back in 2005, but like they were still great together in the ring. In case y'all don't know about the TLC matches with the Hardys, the Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys back in 2000. Y'all, in case y'all didn't know about that, go look that up. And yeah, that was one of the reasons that Matt left. So, and my opinions about it. So, with Matt Hardy be in AEW and be on the side for Elite, so that would definitely create a good career, like he did in TNA and Impact Wrestling. So even though that might be a different scenario, but I do see a good career for him in AEW, especially when he brings the broken Matt Hardy back there. And for his Brody, he might have a good AEW career as well. But we'll just have to see once the creativity comes in for those two, and which AEW will do great. I had no doubts on that. So
and before we move on, were you able to watch Dynamite on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, we kind of have a little bit of depth for Brody, and I don't know how I feel about it, because it was the old Vince McMahon parody spoof was basically the portrayal of him as the quote-unquote exalted one of the Dark Order.
Yeah.
So that to me kind of felt backhanded jabbish, just because like they just left, and within 2 weeks you're already using one of them to take a pot shot at him entirely. And then I didn't get like the whole Sister Abigail even pose of setup to go into that discus clothesline that he's using as his finisher, which makes no sense to me, but it's still like calling back and trying to I wouldn't say calling back to his WWE persona or taking a shot at, but it's just weird that it's so on the nose this early. And depending on how they shoot any vignettes from here on, because depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks, within Florida mainly, it's going to be a lot of controversy and confusion. And then with Matt Hardy basically looking like a transformer, teleporting, a Power Ranger teleporting from like every which way, and almost into a playwright. I think that just became, the pacing of that promo was okay. However, I think just because Matt's rusty when it comes to actually giving a promo with no crowd, and then Chris has been stretching, and you can tell, because he couldn't tell without crowd reaction where Vanguard 1 was. and for the pace. And for those that don't know, Vanguard 1 is Matt Hardy's personal drone
Yeah.
in the Broken Universe. So, with that being said, do I think Matt would have been ideal this way? Yes, I do think it would have been ideal, but with or without him having so much reliance on Vanguard 1, I wish they didn't. So,
yeah. So when you mentioned the promo, like I like the promo, but like I wish it was there was fans in there. It could like it would give it like a more excitement, like like to the promo, especially when like Jericho was talking to the drone. Well, will you join the inner circle? And then like the drone just like left, nope, get out of here. And then like that at the end of the when I think it was at the end when Jericho say, or you say elite, and Matt say delete, elite, delete, elite, delete. And like that was pretty, that was a little funny to me, but if the crowd was like actually there, I think the promo would actually been great. Like even though the crowd wasn't there, which was kind of weird, so, to a good promo like that.
well, we're gonna have to get used to that for the next, like, honestly, next couple of weeks. And even
Maybe
Jericho said
maybe months. Depends on when the bios will end. Maybe.
in the, and I'll get to this, but in the States.
Yeah.
In the States. Because, and Jericho, and honestly, Jericho brought this up, and I think it was the Brody Lee episode he did too. If it wasn't for the perfect bookend to this to put AEW on a season finale and then pick it up as soon as the virus is over, would have been the Blood and Guts match. However, they had to kill off virtually both the Young Bucks because they're in Cali.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Rancho. That's why they killed Nick off before the virus got insane.
Yeah.
He's got a pregnant wife and 2 kids at home already.
Yeah, they're quarantine, right?
Cali's been under a stay-home order since, I want to say, the last 2 weeks.
Because I know San Francisco is on lockdown.
Yes, San Francisco's on lockdown until well after Easter. And that's the earliest they can get back to their normal life. Is like the week after Easter.
Yeah.
And we still have like a good 2-3 weeks. And while we're on the subject of AEW, there's a major chance that Double or Nothing will not happen. And
of course, because yeah, because Vegas is like I seen Vegas because like all the stuff is lights are turned down. Like it's not like it's like on shut down, it's like, but they just turn off all the like the casinos and just like close everything down.
Yeah, and here's the other big thing. Another event, and I was looking through it because I'm still originally born and raised from Indianapolis, so I see that I saw that the Indy 500 got postponed, which was virtually the day after Double or Nothing. And even though it's racing versus wrestling, it's the same thing, same scale of event. So it's like, yeah, if one major event got postponed and pulled from network TV, then yeah, the other one is going to get pulled for sure.
Well, yeah, we'll just have to see what they can go from there. But as far as AEW is concerned, well, what's going on with the coronavirus? Like they be having more matches than WWE because WWE only had a few matches and they just like replaying like certain matches from last year or like 2 years ago and stuff, like to try to hype up people for this year's WrestleMania and stuff.
Well, here's the thing though, WWE basically now has everything pre-taped that they can because with Orange County on lockdown, they're going to have to air like pre-tape footage, and hopefully they were able to get some green screen stuff with Michael Cole, because there's no Michael Cole, King, and the rest of the announce team. Like, there's too many. I can't remember.
The other guys.
Yeah, and then with NXT, like, yeah, there's no way for the foreseeable future. I even see that leaving the Performance Center, even when this clears up in a few months.
Yeah, but NXT it had filmed it like at the Full Sail Live venue.
I know they did that. However, they only filmed everything up until the week after Mania. Both of them. Like, all 3 shows are only taped up until the week after Mania.
And we already know that WrestleMania is going to be at the Performance Center, but they did say multiple locations. So the question, did they film some of the matches at the Full Sail Live venue? And of course, how they going to film like the Bray Wyatt versus John Cena match, which is turning to be a Firefly Funhouse match. And then
they have Disney.
Yeah.
Couple things with that. JB was the one that, Jeremy Borash was the one back in TNA that produced the Ultimate Deletion between Matt and Jeff Hardy. So with WWE having access to him, that was the way between that and the quote-unquote Boneyard match between Styles and Taker, that they are doing those 2 main cinematic matches, and depending on how much, I feel like Styles and Taker will get a little bit more airtime because that's had a better build and a longer build, even though Cena and Bray have the bigger star attached to it. Bigger star of the 2000s.
So, speaking of the Boneyard matches, AJ Styles, Richie explained what the Boneyard match is. So, it's basically a no-holds-barred, like, situation. It's like when they're fighting in, like, in a cemetery or like a grave or like so stuff like that. So that's
It's a very lion match.
Yeah. And then, like, for the Firefly Flood match, I thought, like, at first they was going to do like a House of Horrors match, because like when they were filming that match, they said it was going to be like a movie or treatment type match. So like, is this going to be a House of Horrors match? Or then now we find out from yesterday's SmackDown, it's going to be a Firefly Funhouse match. We don't know what the location and what's going to be look like, but
well, it's going to be similar to the House of Horrors, or I'll bring it up again in the Ultimate Deletion, because they have to do it on location, and this is how WWE will get the multiple locations thing in there, because you can't just have 6 hours, 7 hours stretched over 2 nights in one location. And with the way things are shot, and this is why I'll get to it in a minute, with how these no audience shows have been presented, WWE to me have been the weakest ones, just because you'll get more crowd shots more than anything. So at least with the Bray and Cena, the AJ Taker, and then there may be 1 or 2 more, there will be less focus on the crowd and more stuff on the less focus on the crowd and more focus on the action, but it won't just be all action. And then, yeah, and I know why they really would have loved for Gronkowski to have that crowd at the Bucs Stadium, because Brady just became a part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And essentially, like, yeah, that would have been fun, but there's no way, like, the city of Tampa would have risked everybody. Really a week and a half.
So, yeah. But other than that, moving forward, so movie studios and like matching being hit by the coronavirus. So you mentioned two major studios, Warner Brothers and Disney. So with Warner Brothers, you already know that everybody knows that that Wonder Woman 1984 got a new release date. It was supposed to come out on June 5th, but now it will be released on August 18th, which is a smart move because I think by August the virus will be done by then because like Wonder Woman, like as good as one, we all know the first one was really great. That's what really had DC Extended Universe back up on track as it was. And for the second one, most of us want to see that movie in theaters instead of having to be streamed online like to HBO Max. And then like other like films that like from Warner Brothers that the Scooby Doo the new Scooby Doo animation movie Scoob that is still didn't get a new release date yet. Um, this new horror film movie directed by James Wan, I thought was gonna be like in the same universe as The Conjuring, but it's a separate own horror film. So yeah, other than that, those are like the three major summer Warner Brothers films that's may have put a new release date, but hasn't got a new release date. So, what are your thoughts on those movies?
So I've got the article from the Business Insider up right now, and for me, yes, Warner got hit, and I know we're gonna get into it because those are still scheduled to be due out this year. That's the thing. Like a lot of the movies that you're referencing right now are still scheduled sometime this fall. So this fall, hopefully everybody has their AMC pass or whatever, because you will need it. But the big one that got hit, and this was by Universal, unfortunately, was Fast 9. This is like the biggest like setback. And I feel bad for that entire production team.
But I think that was a good move for Fast Nine to move, even though it's still long. But because like most of the Fast and Furious movies, when they put out their release dates, they always release it like in around the summertime because they know around that time that they can get the most. They can get a lot of money for the box office.
True, but it's not even. It's 11 month. It's an 11-month difference. Not even a 12 months because it's going from May 22nd, which is like the week before Memorial Day weekend, all the way until April 2nd, 2021. So that one to me is just like, wow. But back to the Warner Brothers, I think it was a good move, especially to wait till stuff is in theaters, especially since, and this is one thing I do want to ask you, because of all the streaming services that were set for release at some point this year, do you think those get pushed back to next year as well because of the delays with the coronavirus?
There were certain projects like for Netflix that got put on hold, and also like stuff for like for Disney Plus and all that stuff like the Falcon and Winter Soldier that got
right.
Yeah, Slay. The new Rock movie, the Red Notice with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. That was like a Netflix film that got pushed back. The production got suspended because of the coronavirus. Yeah, and Stranger Things. I think that will probably won't be out to either around the fall or maybe 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
And that to me was just crazy to think, like all that, and then the Disney ones, like the entire like March and April calendar is pushed back to, which really hurts like Disney somewhat in any way, shape, or form. Even though it's Fox, like that's still Disney at this point. Like Mulan, the New Mutants, both those got delayed and those are due out. And then No Time to Die, which Daniel Craig's last 007 movie. That's wow, that got hit again.
Well, actually, No Time to Die, they still do, like the things to release in Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, because it was originally set for last November. Now it's all the way to this November, which jury's out just because I think 007's always been that hit or miss franchise, especially like depending on who your favorite Bond was. It's always a hit or miss. And then Black Widow, which we did discuss, that one is not going to be out in May, unfortunately. Yeah.
Black Widow, I think they're gonna take the Eternals release date spot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the video game, and then Uncharted was set to be released in Berlin in the next like month or so. Now it's gone. That's gone too. So the German release of that, and then possibly, even though I know Naughty Dog is like, oh, we're done with Uncharted. They're not. Uncharted turned into from a free game for people that got a first PS3, I think it was, to now it's like nothing. So with that, like, have you not noticed there's been a surge recently of not just streaming content on Netflix, Hulu, like just the usage. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all that's been spiked, all the usage from there. And same with Sony, with PlayStation,
I
Xbox,
think
all
the
those.
venue died.
Huh?
Yeah, the PlayStation venue, yeah, that died. Like that died like a couple of months ago. Yeah, the PlayStation venue.
Yeah.
But
But
they
here's
still
the thing, like Sony killed their own. Sony has legit like slowed their servers down on parts of the globe because of the amount of people just like on their servers right now.
yeah. But Sony still has Crackle though. They still have that. They still
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of streaming services will come out stronger. However, do I think the movie industry will strive for it? No. Like the movie industry will be the ones to get hit for it. But yeah.
So you mentioned the streaming service. Back to the Warner Brothers discussion. So how you feel about HBO Max and all the content that they're gonna have?
That's the thing. Will that get delayed? Will it get delayed though because of the coronavirus?
No, they still content on releasing it in May.
Then it could easily be one of the best things ever, or some of the craziest either good news or bad news. I don't know yet. We'll see. Like jury's out on how HBO is going to treat that, depending on what content is available at launch. Because it was the same with Disney Plus, because there were some ideal shows that people wanted that are still not on Disney Plus.
Yeah, because Disney Plus needs some new content on there because the Mandalorian season 2 is not going to be released till like in the fall season. And
Yeah.
even though they did put out a promo like a couple of months ago of what's going to be coming out in 2020, but we're going to see if they're going to be still releasing the stuff that they promoted like during this year. But like some didn't have an actual release date, but they say it's going to be released in 2020. Well, we're just going to have to see how that turns out. And you mentioned Mulan. There was a prediction saying that their new release date is going to be in July, around the time that the Rock's movie Jungle Cruise is going to be out around that time in July.
Okay. And who was Jungle Cruise? Like, what production company was that?
Disney
That would be stupid.
and the Rock's production company Seven Bus Productions. So
But you said Jungle Cruise was made by Disney?
yeah, and yeah,
That's stupid.
yeah,
Because
distribute.
I would not have too many. Because they had this issue, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, when they released like 3 or 4 Disney movies within a month of each other. Like and this was in May, so you already know which one came out. I forget if it was in Infinity War or it was one of the Avengers movies for sure.
I know.
So
Yeah, but you had to think about with Disney, they go by their divisions. Let's say like, oh, we have a Marvel movie come out in the first week of May, and then we have like a regular Disney movie come out in the last week of May. So it really depends on the divisions, because right now you have Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and and the 20th Century Fox, which is now 20th Century Studios. So
right, which will be very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's like, whoo, yeah,
oh my god, I feel so bad like for the new movies. Like you think they have a date for it, but it keeps getting delayed. So my
yeah.
opinion,
That movie,
I think they should just put it on Disney Plus or like just or like Hulu. Just put it straight on there. Like
yeah, that's one of those movies I would put on Disney Plus at this point because there's no way, like once that because you think of everything that got pushed back, everything that got pushed back due to the coronavirus. Disney Plus, once this is over, this pandemic is over, we get all those release dates. Not everybody's gonna want to see the New Mutants. We're gonna want to see Mulan. We're gonna want to see the Rocks movie. We're gonna want to see this and the other, and people are gonna want to spin games. Which, oh Lord, thinking about games. Did you play 2K20?
yeah,
Oh no, like honestly, considering how Visual Concepts treated WWE 2K20, we have this, and NBA 2K20 was basically just a big patch update, but it was okay. However, it scares me for 2K21 because of the coronavirus. It scares me for 2K21. And for those that don't know, what was 2K20? Save your virgin minds. That's all I have to say. It was that bad. Just save your virgin minds.
yeah. So yeah, so like all the games that they're working on that got suspended as well. So we don't know what they're gonna put a new release date on that. So they're in the same situation as the movie theater is. So and also I want to
WWE will try and force that. I
yeah
already know it. And that's just the sad part because you could tell it was rushed, but they still had to meet a release date. And then, oh, about 3 weeks before the game comes out, like, here's the promo packaging, here's Roman and Becky, here's the release date for the game. Oh, here's the game, and here's Bray. I'm like, I'm not even gonna get into that. You could watch, I would say, either Dank Ops, like honest thoughts on 2K. Brandon does any honest thoughts on 2K 20 on YouTube, and I'll tell you virtually just about everything you need to know. Everything.
yeah. So yeah yeah, while we on back on the movie topic and for Disney, so I did mention that my prediction that Black Widow might take Internals release day spot, and then like just kind of move over with the Eternals to put it at the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings release release date spot, and then so forth with the other planned phrase for movie and TV series project. But I think the Falcon and the Winter Soldier may still come out in 2020, but if not, maybe early in 2021.
That depends on what part of production they were on. Because if they were still in need, and this is why I guarantee you Fast 9 got pushed to 2021. They were still in the middle of production. I think if Winter Soldier
It was on post. It was on post.
What?
Yeah.
Fast 9?
Yeah. If you go to Movie Insider, they tell you like all the projects are like what's in production and what's in post.
Fast 9 was in post?
Yeah.
Okay. What was Winter Soldier on before all this?
I think they was I don't know. Let me check how it was, because I think they might still be in production or they might have been in post. Because that was the first TV series that they was gonna put out as far as the Phase 4 lineup was concerned.
Okay. Because if it's in post, I could see it coming out like this fall. But if it was in production still, it's a 2021 release.
Soldier. Yeah, they was in post.
Okay, so maybe late 2021 then. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like save your money for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Labor Day weekend releases. That's all I will say. Because I feel like everybody's going to be hitting those 3 time frames: Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Labor Day.
Oh, that was one thing I mentioned, because the I don't know if you noticed, but China had released their movie theaters. So the thing is that, well, with us in the U.S., they're thinking once the virus is over, to once the movie theater is reopened, they thinking of doing free movie screenings, like for certain movies. Let's say like if you put I think yeah, Quiet Place 2 was one of the first ones that was supposed to come out this year in March. Let's say if you already bought your pre-sale tickets for that. Let's say, oh, like, you bought your ticket, but you had to do a refund. So like, oh, let's do a free movie screening for that first particular day, and then so forth for other movies on that. So what's your opinion about that? When they reopen, should they do free screenings or when they first reopen back the movie theaters?
Well, I'm going to get on Japan and opening stuff up to the public in a minute. However, do I think people should have free screenings? I think if anything, AMC, like the Movie Pass, shouldn't charge. We'll see that in a couple weeks, whether or not AMC is still charging people the $20 for the Movie Pass, but I think they might because of the online capabilities, and that's going to be the benefactor. If people are still getting charged for like Movie Pass, then I would say no, because that has been a consistent thing with online streaming. But if that is not the case, then I would say there is a possibility of movies for, like, say for instance, the first month after the coronavirus be like a 2 movie a discount or free pass or whatever for like 4 movies or what have you to any AMC user. And I'm just using them because that's the Movie Pass like a lot of contacts of mine have.
Yeah, because I know for sure, like when when the movies do this reopen, I think they probably could do like just do a 1 day free movie screening for that particular movie when it opens, and then like the next day just have the people buy tickets for it, because like the workers that work in the box office, they still need to get that money to add to their paycheck and all that stuff. But like,
Oh yeah, they need to get endorsed at some point.
yeah, like I try to be consistent as far as like for us in the audience, but as well for the workers. Like we can still do like the free screening like for the first day of that movie when the movie's released, but the next day you have to you have to pay for it. So it's either
I would almost.
yeah.
I'm gonna get to why and how I think this, whether or not this strategy would be a success, but almost doing the first weekend free, but donation based. Donation based. You get in after making a donation to any of the theater workers, the theater employees. Like, yeah, like it could be as like $5 min or whatever, and yeah, all that goes back, and everybody gets that revenue. And at the end of the day, you split the pot between everybody that worked that day.
Yeah. So
I would do something like that rather than just like, oh, hey, come in for free and watch all the movies you missed, or like what's out right now, which probably is like $1.50 worthy.
well, all the basically all the current movies that's like in the theaters right now, people can do watch it on video on demand, or just like try to find somewhere online
Let's not endorse that.
yeah.
Let's not endorse that. I know where you're going, and let's not endorse that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shall we move on?
Oh yeah. So yeah. To the No Gate People show. So talk about Stardom, Wrestle Talk, AEW, and WWE. So Wrestle Talk. Yeah, everybody knows that watches that podcast show. They have a lot of good topics when it comes to like all Wrestle Talk, including also I mentioned PW Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and like other Wrestle Talk. I think it was WrestleMania.
What culture?
Yeah.
And Cultaholic, all those in the UK. So what Wrestle Talk did with help of quite possibly the best overseas open weight, and being Will Ospreay. So he partnered with the YouTube channel and did a no fans quote unquote Monday, where this practice that we were just talking about with free to get into, however, donation based for those that just spread it out, and they split it amongst every athlete that performed that night, and they kept it to a 7-match card, some backstage for like I think 3 or 4 backstage promos, and that was it. Just 2.5 hours, really, too, because it was a long Will Ospreay promo, but it was like thanking everybody, reflecting, and announcing the number. And he was floating around just trying to make sure everybody was okay and tested well for it. And I think that's the first time ever like a wash your hands was literally the end of a promo, and it was still a baby face like reaction.
I know. They're like, hey, y'all need to wash your hands. We don't need that germ stuff on there. I think
No.
that's how I feel like he went on with that. Yeah, that's how I feel he went on with that. Like, hey, wash your hands. We don't need none of that stuff. Yeah, that's how I feel he went with that.
Nah, so obviously you didn't watch it, but it was like legit. Wash your hands, and I'm like, wow, okay, well, this is fun.
Yeah, he basically did like a Braun Strowman type thing, but like just wash your hands instead of get these hands. Just wash your hands.
I was like, oh Lord, this is how we're going after you done basically almost gave your girlfriend a concussion. With that, but that match was pretty good, and honestly, that was a pretty solid match. And out of the No People Gate shows, to me, that was possibly my second favorite one. And this is including the language barrier. And so with what WWE, and we've been on this topic of family shows and performance center shows, and it was really the fan appreciation night that was in the performance center. Man, that feels like a month ago, because how long was the Full Sail Hall of Fame, which both me and Trico, by the way, are alumni of, or I don't know if you told
Yeah, so like, the Full Sail Hall of Fame that no way happens like around in February, it like February or March. So that's like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was like not even, and then legit like that. It was like that happened that Wednesday. By that Thursday, they got the word like, yeah, you guys were pulling shows left and right. So they, as long as they did, just were like, okay, we're gonna release stuff in the have stuff in the performance center. And by the presentation, it wasn't as appealing to really Vince McMahon and a few other executives in the promotion. So they just started from there having just one or two matches in the ring, promos, so they can kind of gauge it. And then, okay, we'll play a match from the last like 6 months that had a crowd, but it was something we already knew about. And I think the NXT that they had, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, that they had the one that was nothing but straight up promos for 2 hours.
I think that was like last week.
Yeah, that one to me is quite possibly the worst one. And no, it was actually better than the Raw and SmackDown, because at least NXT brought some of the storylines to the forefront, and it just felt like a massive hype package. However, there could have been a better way to do that, especially if you knew and were following NXT since last summer. And for Johnny and Ciampa, the two that kind of revolutionized this era, like, yeah. So that's it on the WWE. I want to talk about the Stardom. And this one's the big one. AEW, we touched on Brody Lee and Matt Hardy. And those, to me, like storyline development, the only thing, and Jericho touched on it, Tony Khan touched on it. If they would have been able to do the blood and guts match, that would have been a great bookend. Even though it would have been a very surreal bookend and kind of odd, but it would have been a very good season ender going into the coronavirus and TBD. That's how they dreamt it. However, obviously, without a crowd, that would not have been a great thing.
So yeah, you mentioned the Stardom. So they recently had the Cinderella tournament tournament.
I'm not even done with the No People Gate stuff, man. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I wanted to bring up the but yeah, we could touch on that. However, with that, New Japan hasn't had a show on for a month because of No People, and then Stardom released another show with No People, which outside the language barrier was pretty good and solid. And now you can bring up, and because of that, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to get that book in real quick.
Yeah. So yeah, they recently canceled the Cinderella tournament. They recently canceled their shows like up to like March 22nd. However, they went on with the tournament with fans in attendance, but the fans were required to take a temperature check before entering the Carter Hall. So yeah, it was the one single day tournament, which occurred by pinfall submission over the top rope floor. The winners guarantee a title shot to either the World or the Stardom Championship, the red belt, or winners of the Stardom Championship, the white belt.
So Yeah, what were your thoughts? I'm going to ask you, since I know you're more the North American scene, wrestling scene guy. What were your thoughts before I dive in?
Yeah, because I mentioned, yeah, when you mentioned they pulled off the 2015 Roman Reigns and thing at the ending of it. So I don't know if that was their way of taunting WWE or just like having that similar crowd reaction in towards that when you mentioned they put off the 2015 Roman Reigns.
Okay, so I referenced that because that's how they shot her straight up to the moon. And because so Julia won the tournament, and it all was well and done, but she's only been with Stardom for less than a year, and she beat, en route to the title, the current red belt champion in the semis in Shuri, and then beat Jungle Kiona, who's been a mainstay in the promotion for years, and then the former World of Stardom champion in Momo Watanabe in the first 2 rounds. So it's just weird that out of nowhere you get this person who's not even, and I hate to use this term, but a lot of people kind of do feel like it because she wasn't 100% Japanese in the promotion, a foreigner, for all lack of a better term, because she does speak Italian and French from her family, and then went to Japan, honed her craft, and now she's been picking up some big wins and is in position for now possibly a match for the white belt, which was her wish at the end of the Cinderella tournament. A match for the white belt as soon as the current white Wonder Stardom champion Arisa gets back from an injury. And that to me is just crazy to think like Stardom is now back to doing shows, but they had this much story development over the last like 5 months to bring in somebody new, basically run house, and be in position to win possibly one of the biggest titles in the company. Because I think the last time Japan saw somebody shoot up this far, this fast, in their within months was Jay White.
So yeah, so my question to you is that what better way to make Gilia a star than to have her and the dominant white belt reign of a Kashiri? Yeah, it's so hard.
I think I know with Arisa being on the shelf, I think, and this is the one thing I don't know when this match is going to be. Nobody does because Arisa's still out, and that's the one thing I don't like about Stardom. They haven't really, unless somebody is incapacitated, they really don't strip people of titles unless it's like a gimmick belt. And what I mean by gimmick, there's a couple of titles to where you have to be within your first 2 years of Stardom or under 21, under 20. And then there's another to where it's like specific qualifications, like the Cruiserweight is under 205, obvious. And then the women's tag, men's tag. So it's like certain qualifications per belt. And Stardom's just has them a bit weirder than the average promotion. But for her not to be the Roman Reigns and for people to get sick of her, I think just winning, but not being shoved down people's throats and taking those L's. But she's also currently 1/3 of their 6-person tag champs right now. So ended up leading a faction. That's why I compared her to Roman, even though that one kind of got proven to be Seth. But win her first major tournament over 2 marquee wins that were out of nowhere throughout a 2-day period. And then, so win that and now is in position for a title shot, insane. So just keep building it, because I think it took even Shelton had to come up, but just go for it once the match happens and still remain strong. And as far as Stardom, and I was paying attention to Stardom and New Japan for when they were having fans. However, the obvious has gotten worse out here than it has in Japan, because for them to start having shows with crowds is massive again. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, granted, they still have to rock the mask and get their temperature checked. But for them to have shows with crowds again, and they've only been, to be honest, out for a month, is nuts.
Yeah.
And with New Japan, I'm on their website right. I have their website up right now. Their next show, Secure Genesis, is on Tuesday. So yeah, do I think like they'll have a shot to be very high and very much that show will go off without a hitch? Yeah. But of course, the Lions break for people that wanted to go in Tampa, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And then
Tampa's on lockdown.
yeah, like legit. Lions break, that won't happen. But the rest of the year, outside of, so I've got the calendar up until the end of August, which is their next show. So this summer could easily be the biggest thing for the entire professional wrestling world, which is insane because you have Double or Nothing that could easily get pushed to later in the summer. And as of right now, New Japan has a show at the Garden that unless New York is still on lockdown by August, which I highly doubt they will, but we never know, they have a show at Madison Square Garden on the 22nd of August. So that'll be insane. And then as far as the storylines that we thought were in motion, the only one that they can't cap, because I guarantee you there's no way he's leaving the country, especially since he made a cameo on WWE Backstage the other day, Mr. Renee Young, a.k.a. John Moxley.
In case y'all didn't know who he was in WWE, he was Dean Ambrose.
Exactly. So he's on lockdown because of AEW, obviously. However, they stay in the States, and there's no way travel to and from the U.S. to Japan's going to fly right now. And unfortunately, that means he could very well get stripped again of the U.S. title. But we'll see how they do it, because he has to wait longer to go from the U.S. to Japan than Zack Sabre Jr., who's just going from the U.K. to Japan.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, he could easily get that run back again with Will Ospreay for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight title. And hope something could pop up from there. But I do think for combat sports guys, outside of the UFC, the wrestling world will be in a good place in the next we'll see in the next few days, maybe a few weeks, where it is. So subscribe to Stardom World. In the meantime, subscribe to New Japan World if need be, even though I know that's another $20 worth of subscription to get your wrestling fix, where you could just get it for free. But I think that's going to be the only current and live wrestling anybody's going to get for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for a couple of months. It depends on how AEW, WWE, and Stardom and other wrestling promotions does their show.
Let's say this. Stardom and New Japan are under the same production company there, so I'm not even worried about them. The fact that Stardom did this, the Cinderella tournament with the crowd and just checked everybody's temperature, like, yeah, that tells me the company is going to okay New Japan and get everybody back to work, because a lot of New Japan fans want to see the match with Naito and Hiromu. That's going to be on one of the first shows. And one of the first shows that they have coming back from all this insanity, as I mentioned, is going to be Sakura Genesis and then Wrestling Dontaku in May. So you could easily, going into both those nights, into all three of those shows, you can have the Hiromu and Naito match, and you can add matches to set up all that. Now, could they do the New Japan Cup? That's going to be an interesting one. They would have to do that all throughout the Dontaku tour, and then end up leaving at the last 2 nights of Dontaku. But as far as the anniversary show, that's ship sailed, unfortunately. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, those are the basic topics that we gone over for today. So, guys, let us know in the comment section based on the topics that we gone over. What are your thoughts and opinions on that? So, and other than that, don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe for when they upload new episodes. And Donaze, thank you for being a part of this table discussion. I hope to have you in more future episodes.
Oh yeah, just hit me up, and I've got nothing because we're basically on lockdown here in Cali, so I'd be fine with just chiming in.
All right. So other than that, this is Trico, and we're signing off. Peace.
All right, peace.